everyone, and welcome to another episode of
Zeng This.
You got me, Zenger.
And I'm Ellie.
So, we're going to kind of be doing a little bit different this episode. We're not going to have a big topic this episode because there's a lot of stuff in the news that's happened recently that we want to cover, so we're just kind of opting out of doing a topic, plus recently doing the Star Wars episode as well as spring break going on. We kind of, I don't know, we were a little lazy this week.
Yep.
So I guess we'll start. We kind of talked about this on the last episode because due to a scheduling conflict there with the record, we were able to record a day later, and they did release the trailer for Thor Ragnarok. And we kind of touched on it, but I mean, we've watched it a little bit more and let it sink in. It's still very early on, but I know we discussed some of it. I'm not going to try to point out everything. I don't know if I mentioned the Executioner can be seen in it, and apparently he's supposed to be working for Jeff Goldblum's character as like a bodyguard possibly. So that would be that's kind of interesting that he has a few Asgardians working for him, because he has also Valkyrie is working for him as well, and apparently she kind of fled there after an apparent fight that you kind of see between her and Hela. So I don't know. I mean, Thor's hammer getting broken is pretty intense. I'm assuming that's going to happen very early in the movie, and a lot of the rumors are that this all takes, like, everything you saw in the trailer is a very early on in the movie thing. And apparently, once the Hulk and Thor kind of work things out, they're supposed to do a team up and kind of go to save Asgard together.
That would be really cool.
Like kind of a space road trip of sorts. So
we're still trying to compare it to Guardians of the Galaxy.
I don't like saying that it's compared to Guardians, but at the same time,
it's just when I hear space road trip, I think of Guardians.
Yeah, and the music, I think they picked a great Led Zeppelin song.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I mean
that
fit really well in it, and I mean she obviously is taking on all of Asgard. I like the way Loki looks. I'm kind of wondering what his deal is in this, if he's still, imitating Odin or something. Here's the thing I really liked about Loki, where he was flipping the knives, and he had his helmet on, but it was just the band across his head with the horns, which is something that he normally has in the comic. So that I thought was kind of interesting. Hela, as you saw, of course, had her huge, I don't know if it's a helmet, hat, or whatever that giant web of stuff is that's on her head, but then, of course, she had her hair down, too.
Right.
So I like that they stick to the comic accuracy of some of these people from time to time. And you really like the Thor's helmet.
I think it's pretty cool the way he can flip it up like that.
Yeah, I kind of think it's ironic, though, that he's kind of just a warrior that they're kind of giving equipment to, and he just happens to get something that looks like
Thor-esque looking. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he had his helmet in the first Thor movie with the wings and everything. Mm-hmm. I'll admit it looks goofy from time to time, but I like the way they did this one. It looks a little bit more up to date and everything, and it looks a little bit more sleeker. And, of course, Doctor Strange is supposed to fit in here somewhere, too. So, kind of wondering where all these pieces fall into place for this. So, who knows what's going to happen with it. But I'm excited. And here's the other thing. Marvel's putting this out against Justice League. I don't know if you noticed the dates for it or have seen the dates, but they're supposed to be kind of going head to head, with each other. So, I mean, that's pretty interesting, in my opinion. I got some more news out of Marvel. We get to talk about Deadpool for a little bit.
Cool.
Deadpool 2, they've officially announced their Cable. And it's going to be Josh Brolin, which I think is kind of interesting, considering he is playing Thanos in voice, and I guess he's there in a mocap suit.
A little double dipping.
I guess I've made the joke already on Twitter. I'm pretty sure I used our actual podcast one to do it, but I made the joke that Thanos is actually Cable from an even more distant future.
Oh.
As a joke, but I highly doubt that's going to be it. But I don't know. I mean, they had Pierce Brosnan. Mm-hmm. They had Michael Shannon, who was General Zod from Man of Steel as possible contenders, and then they go with Josh Brolin. I'm not saying this as a negative. I know I'm sounding negative, but I'm not. I'm not trying to be negative with it. It's just, I don't know. I mean, they were kind of throwing everyone off, and then all of a sudden,
More
I know,
intrigued than
yeah,
anything
it
else.
just kind of came out of left field. You weren't expecting this one,
Yeah.
sort of. I like to see what they do with it. I'm very interested in it. Cable, I think. I think they can do a good job with it. I'm very excited because this would be a very interesting character to put on because I like their dynamic of, Cable's the straight guy, the straight shooter, needing to get the job done, and he's teamed up with this over-the-top lunatic that you'd think that they want to strangle each other constantly.
Right.
And who's to say we couldn't see maybe possibly some Wolverine in this? It's possible.
Cool.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm excited for this. We gotta wait, of course, till next year. So I mean, we got plenty of time for that. So, I mean, Marvel has two things we talked about. I mean, DC's been pretty heavy recently with us. So I'm kind of glad to talk about Marvel for a minute. Not that there's anything wrong with DC. I'm just saying I'm kind of glad I got some Marvel news to sort of get out there. Netflix, not that we are sponsored by them, released something very close to my heart on Friday.
Yeah, Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yes, and I've not gotten through all of it yet because I mean they're an hour and a half episodes each. So
Right.
I mean I've done a very valiant effort, but it's really good and I'm enjoying it. I will admit this now real quick. Just I don't know if I'm gonna get hate mail for this. I was introduced to Mystery Science Theater by the movie. The actual movie.
Okay.
I didn't see the TV show.
You watched that before the TV show?
Yes, I was introduced to the movie first, then I watched the TV show.
Okay.
And I enjoy both of them. It's just the movie kind of holds a very near and dear place to my heart because I saw that and I've watched that. I probably could watch it on mute and get almost all the lines in it. I love that movie, and I really enjoy it. The TV show's great, and I think that this is a great addition to the whole pantheon of what they've done with
It's got
that.
a good cast.
It does. It really does. There's a lot of cameos, too. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a lot of cameos in it from possibly previous villains, previous people on.
Now, how many episodes is it? Do you remember?
I'm thinking there's about 14 episodes, if I'm remembering correctly. I mean, this is just, I think, the first season they're doing, so hopefully they'll do some more.
Right.
I can't see why they wouldn't. It's a very popular show, I know, and it's a great show to watch, and I've really enjoyed it. And kind of an odd thing, they've made 2 references to podcasting, actually, in the show so far, and I just thought that was really interesting. But it's very topical. They made a Rick and Morty reference. So, I mean, it's very up to date with all the references. I mean, not like the old show wasn't with stuff, but it's very referential to the episode. I mean, the episode that you're currently in, a previous episode, a previous season, a previous movie, stuff like that. So, it's really cool. It just keeps on building on itself. So, I'm enjoying it so far. I might be able to finish it by the end of this week.
Wow.
I know, I might. Like I said, it's with each episode being an hour and a half, it's a little, not that it's a bad thing to watch it. It's just
harder to get through.
It's very hard to try to burrow through all that. So I'm excited about that. I know Netflix has some other stuff down the line that we'll probably be talking about. Once again, we are not sponsored by Netflix. I cannot make that clear enough. Oh yeah, House of Cards is coming out really soon. Anyways, so I guess we should talk about, since we just did a Star Wars episode, go listen to it. We finished up the prequel trilogy with episode 3. So we just did that, and that was a lot of fun. But Celebration was happened. And we've got several trailers and kind of stuff to talk about. And I guess would fit in better here than in one of our Star Wars things, because those kind of stand alone on their own. But a big announcement I saw that I thought was interesting. You know the character of Rex?
Yes.
Do you know that he's actually apparently in the movie?
Oh.
The actual original trilogy. They confirmed it recently. that there is a character. I don't know how good your memory is on Return of the Jedi, but when they're on the moon of Endor, there is a bearded gentleman with a white beard who is fighting with the rebels. He kind of sits front and center during a few of the shots.
Okay.
I don't know if this guy comes to memory for you. Actually, here I think I have the picture. We'll pull it up real quick. Let's go to the tape.
Roll the footage.
And
the suspense is killing everyone.
This is quality podcast material right here. That guy apparently was confirmed to be Captain Rex.
That's pretty awesome.
It is a good, if not great, retcon out of nowhere that I have ever seen. So,
right.
I mean, not trying to be negative on that. It's just that was a weird one that I saw and I was like, huh. So we have another. I mean, we're going to be going over several announcements from the Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
But this one's pretty interesting. It is called Star Wars Forces of Destiny.
Yeah.
And what is this focusing on, Ellie?
Well, a lot of the really popular, famous female characters from the different series.
Mm-hmm. And Star Wars has had always a really strong female emphasis on a lot of their characters. So they've got a very wide variety of characters to choose from.
And it's from different time periods. So it's not just going to be focused on one time period in Star Wars. But if you're looking for it, it's actually not going to be out until summer, so it's going to start in July.
So you got some time to build up anticipation.
And they're going to be little shorts.
Animated.
Yes.
Animated shorts.
A couple minutes each. And on Disney YouTube channel is where you're going to be able to
find it first.
Yes. And then they're looking to, by the fall, have a couple
2-part TV special
on the actual Disney Channel itself.
Now, they'll, of course, have Rey, Jen Erso, Sabine from the Rebels series, Ahsoka from, I guess, both the Rebels series and from Clone Wars series.
Princess Leia, can't forget her.
As well as Maz from the new one. And I'm sure that there is a few others. And a lot of the people are reprising their voices, too.
Yes.
So that's really cool. So that's definitely something, I mean... If you want more Star Wars, they're definitely giving it to us right now. So
I think it's great to... It's not that girls don't watch Star Wars, because I know I love it.
I don't know. There's one on our podcast that will not be quiet sometimes.
Yes. So I love it a lot. But it's nice to have something like this to maybe inspire, little girls growing up to want to get into the series and to let them know that it's...
And to be a strong,
Yeah, that it's... There's females in this too, so...
Strong female role models. So that's definitely cool that was announced out of Celebration. I guess let's save the movie trailer for last. But let's go to... I mean, we both play games. I don't think that's a secret.
Just a few.
But last Battlefront was...
Not like the original on PS... DOS,
correct.
I always forget. My 1 and my 2 always kind of like, I'm like, what?
No, it was PS2 and Xbox. So.
Yes.
So, yes. But.
I'm kind of excited because it looks like there might be a story mode this time.
Yes, very interesting. And I'm kind of going to go on a quick tangent here of just some information I've gathered. If you haven't seen the trailer, definitely go watch it.
Yeah.
It's not that long.
Looks interesting.
But it basically, what it's showing is there's a special forces.
Yeah.
That is, and I'm gonna kind of stretch this here. So, and this is gonna also take some book knowledge and some, I guess, me kind of predicting stuff or possibly guessing at certain things. So, buckle up, people. This might be fun. So the story, of course, is supposed to be about this group of special ops stormtroopers. Like, they wear black, armor and everything.
Right.
They also have one of the Empire's Raider class corvettes, which it looks kind of like a Star Destroyer mixed with a TIE Interceptor. But it's it's a large ship still. So I mean,
Right.
it's not one of the small ones. So it's more their get in get out vehicle.
Right.
And this was part of Legends, but of course has been brought into canon through the Thawne book and through, of course, this trailer and game. But it shows that, coming out of hyperspace. I'm not going to go through everything in this step by step, and they go down to Endor. Of course, they're on Endor messing up, I'm assuming Ewoks and Rebels alike, and see the Death Star blow up, and are like, what do
Right.
we do?
Right.
And the Emperor, according to some of the books, sort of had a dead man's trigger for what to do with the Empire if he died. And his theology on it was, if me, the Emperor, dies, the Empire dies with me. So it was sort of they had protocols they were supposed to follow. And one of the big things in one of the last battles was on Jakku, because Jakku was apparently a pretty pivotal thing for something the Emperor was up to. But it looks like this battle also takes place there, because it shows them. It looks like it shows them in some of the battle on Jakku, which was the last stand of the Empire. And here's the thing: I'm just going to kind of get into a quick Star Wars rant for a second. The movie ended. Of course, Return of the Jedi ended with victory, victory for the rebels, but of course, it wasn't just a cut dry. This is the end. The battles and everything went on for apparently a while after, I think a few years almost, of them having to try to squash what was left of the Empire, because they were trying, to fulfill the Emperor's wishes and, try to still fight. And of course, it all ended on Jakku, and then they fled. What was left of the Empire sort of fled into the unknown regions, and that's where the First Order kind of came in. So if you're interested in that, the Aftermath books kind of cover it, but apparently this game's going to link it because she's with the First Order also. So it looks like it's, linking the two trilogies, and it's going to possibly have some filler in there to fill us in on, what was happening with the Empire, and, maybe some behind-the-scenes stuff on what's going on with the First Order. So I'm kind of interested in that storyline. I don't know how detailed it's going to be. I'm hoping for something of substance. So, I mean, the trailer looks cool, and it's going to have, it shows Luke, and he looks a little bit older than he did in Jedi, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
It shows Kylo Ren. It shows Darth Maul versus Yoda. So I mean, they're obviously, the multiplayer is going to be fan servicey, but I'm kind of interested to see where they go with this game, because I think that not the last one was bad. I just think they missed the mark slightly.
Right.
They did not hit the bullseye with Battlefront, in my opinion. Still good, just not. Could definitely be better. Single player would have helped that a lot. So I guess we're going to get to the trailer.
Nice.
For The Last Jedi. And, I mean,
Looks
wow.
pretty awesome. Yeah.
It was funny because there's the whole, Luke saying breathe. And I'm like, is he talking to me right now? Because I don't think I've taken a breath.
You're so immersed into it.
There's a lot in here. I'm not a super expert on analyzing stuff in this,
Right.
but it looks like we're going to see, because it shows the destruction of the Jedi Temple that he had, that Ben, of course, destroyed, because it looks like there's flames there. Captain Phasma is back. Somehow she got out of that trash compactor, which, side note real quick, apparently they're going to explain the comic book, so that's interesting. And it looks like Finn is still in some kind of Batha tank or some kind of Batha pod, healing from the back injury. We got to see Kylo, intimidatingly holding his lightsaber, which he has another. I thought his got destroyed at the end of the movie. But anyways, it looks like he either kept his old one or has a new one, and he's kind of turning it very menacingly. And we also got to see some looks like Imperial, or I guess First Order walkers possibly in the distance during what looks to be a epic battle scene, probably reminiscent of the Hoth battle scene. And I would say this is the first time we're seeing the walkers, but I was watching actually a video, and they pointed out that if you look in the background during one of the scenes in The Force Awakens, you can actually see walkers on display during one of the huge First Order displays of power. They aren't moving, they're just kind of standing there. if you look to the side. So I would say this is the first time we're seeing him, but it's actually the second time, so I'm not going to take credit for getting that. I did see that on something else I was watching, just kind of a breakdown of it. But we got to see the Falcon, but we also got Luke kind of being a little bit grim, almost. Saying that, this is the end of the Jedi, or the Jedi need to end.
Do you think that it's one of those things, though, where it's leading you to believe he means it that way, and it's...
Well, I have I have my own theory that I've kind of compiled.
You know what I'm trying to say, though, right?
Yeah. Well, yes, that he's saying that possibly because maybe he's lost faith.
Well, but no, what I'm saying is, you know how sometimes things, they'll say that and they cut it off? But then he would, in the movie, he says more.
Yeah.
But they cut it off at a certain part to... make you think that's how he's feeling.
Well, I've got two things real quick. Once again, Star Wars rant. So if you want to chime in during this, by all means. First one is, I guess my theory, or what I'm kind of hoping for, even though the theory I'm going to mention next is, I think, more plausible, is he might have lost faith in his ability to be a Jedi. Because think about it. We just did the Episode 3, so we watched what happened with Order 66, and basically 2 people took down the Jedi Order. Well, 2 people and a ton of clones took down the Jedi Order, but one person's plan kind of destroyed the Jedi. Fast forward, apparently Luke restarted the Jedi Order, and Ben, along with a handful of people, took down that Jedi Order. Allegedly. Like I said, we haven't seen really what happened yet, but it's kind of assumed that's what happened. So maybe he's lost faith in trying to start the Jedi back up.
Right.
But here's the more plausible theory, is that the Jedi are not what they seem to be. That the Jedi actually have... The way that the Jedi were shown in the prequel trilogy and the way that we've been shown of how they operate is not the way they originally operated years ago. And apparently he's been trying to find temples and trying to find holocrons and, stuff like that to explain to him what were the Jedi's original teachings. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of revealed to him that it's not what Yoda and what Ben Kenobi knew. It's different. And he says a very interesting line. Now, this is a mixture of stuff I've heard and kind of what I've kind of put together myself. He says the line of the dark side, the light, the dark, and the balance. Maybe the Jedi aren't supposed to be completely light. Maybe the Jedi are supposed to be a balance of the light and the dark.
A little more gray.
Yeah, well, there are gray Jedi. Ahsoka's one of them, but maybe that's what they're supposed to be. Because allegedly that might be why Ben turned to the dark side or went with Snoke, is because he found out what Luke did and kind of went off on his own. Also, he found out around the same time that Vader was his grandfather. So I don't know if that probably mentally broke him, but there's a lot of stuff in this trailer that they give you enough that you're excited about, but they don't give you anything to really go on, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it definitely keeps you wanting more.
So that's the thing. Now, since we do have a podcast that covers this stuff, I am going to try to keep up to date on this as much as I want to, but I'm probably going to be spoiling stuff, and I'm sorry if I spoil. This is just me guessing and just stuff that's rumors right now. So I just think it's interesting. It would be really interesting to find out that, the Jedi that we know aren't the Jedi that were the original incarnation of them. So that's interesting. Like I said, I'm excited for this. I mean, we obviously are huge Star Wars fans because, well, we are devoting an entire year to the entire series. So on that note, our next month's episode, I'm mentioning it in here, is going to be on the expanded universe / Legends canon. So stuff that isn't really canon anymore, that Disney's kind of been like, hey, that's not canon. So that could be TV shows, such as the Clone Wars animated series, and that's the animated one, the micro series that they did, that I'm a huge fan of, so expect me to talk about that. But the books, the comics, all the stuff they did prior to Disney taking over and kind of resetting. Oh, and games too, because there are several games that take place in the Legends thing. So if there's anything you'd like that's your favorite stuff, tweet at us and let us know. And that Twitter handle, of course, is Zeng This. And we actually already have one. I'm not going to delve into it, but our friend Unbeliever Russ did, or at Bizarro Russ did tweet at us, and I didn't know Bojack was an X-Wing pilot. It's very interesting. It's a character that it looks like he has a horse head, but he's in an X-Wing like outfit, like he pilots one. So that will definitely be something we will be discussing next month in May. So if you have anything you want us to look into or possibly talk about, definitely tweet at us. We'd love to hear it. So yeah, so that's what they have looked forward to next month for Star Wars. So if you'd like some inside pictures from Celebration, because we've just been talking about it for a little bit, I would go to either Instagram or Facebook and check out our friends from at Tales from the Fandom. I was about to say our friends from Tales from the Fandom, but he actually got to go and he took a lot of really great photos of a ton of he likes to interview, people who are fans of stuff, and you might want to check out his feed coming up. Just saying. But he likes to interview, people who cosplay and people who are huge fans. So I mean, Star Wars, he was probably having the time of his life there. Yeah. Talking to people who are, of course, having...
We've done that before, too.
Yes, we have been to Celebration several years ago, but if you want us to maybe do an episode on that, let us know. We can talk about our adventures there. So, but this one was very interesting. The one, I think I sent you the link, and we actually got it pulled up. And it is somebody dressed in a Mandalorian armor. But who are they supposed to be, Ellie?
Looks like, to me, Snow White.
So that's interesting how they did the sort of hybrid of
it's really cool
of the two.
Yes.
And I mean he took a ton of pictures and stuff, so definitely worth checking out. He did that mashup after the whole announcement with the Last Jedi. If you read Marvel Comics during the House of M event, there was a part where Scarlet Witch says no more mutants. And then it wiped out all the mutants. Well, he did a joke thing where it says no more Jedi. So I thought that was cool. So definitely check them out. I know he had a lot of fun there.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
There's someone cosplaying as Sabine. Plenty of people, I'm sure, dressed up as Leia.
Yeah.
Everything. Oh, Aku.
Nice.
Sith Master Aku.
Yes.
Sorry, we're just looking at, a few of the different people he's run into and took pictures of.
I like the Shrek Vader.
Yeah, there's Shrek. There's a Garth too from Wayne's World.
Okay.
So that's definitely cool. So definitely check them out. Another podcast you should check out if you like hearing me talk about random stuff is the Geek Cinema Society, because I was actually on their most recent episode discussing the movie V for Vendetta, which, up until the point of that episode, I had never seen. I know
that's crazy.
I know, shame on me, but I actually watched it, enjoyed it, and I am in the process of reading the graphic novel. So definitely check that out. They basically, what they do on the Geek Cinema Society, and that's a Blazing Caribou podcast, they kind of have a guest on who's never seen a pivotal movie in geek culture, and then have them watch it and then discuss it. And they have a list of hundreds of movies that are kind of pivotal to geek culture and everything, and I just was going down it, and there's a few others I could have done, but I was like, you know what, I think V for Vendetta would be really good to do, so I picked that one. So definitely check out that podcast as well. I guess my last podcast plug for tonight is not only a plug, but a challenge. Down the Hall podcast.
Step up, boys.
Step up, yes. They need to throw down.
We
are going to throw down the hall.
Okay. Oh, throw down the... Wow.
Yeah, I know.
You just thought of that, didn't you?
No, actually, I've had that locked and loaded for a while.
Oh, okay.
So, we are going to throw down with them.
Okay.
Because they did a list of top 10 war movies. But they excluded a very interesting facet of those movies. Sci-fi and fantasy movies were not allowed to be on the
The
list.
best war movies.
So Chet and Rodney, we are challenging you to come on to our podcast and let us do a top 10 fantasy and sci-fi movies that have war in them, and we will discuss it with you guys. And apparently I would need to watch Apocalypse Now because it's been apparently I should have watched that by now and I haven't. So that's kind of pivotal because I did a response list to them. I did a response list, which I did tweet at them. But they've been formally challenged by Zeng This, Down the Hall podcast. Listen to them. They review tons of movies, try to save, because people spend over 115 hours a year trying to find a movie to watch. And they are saving people from that.
Yep. Or my problem is there's too many things I want to watch, so I spend 115 hours deciding between all the stuff I want to watch.
They're trying to save people from that with their podcast by reviewing movies.
That's right.
And telling people, what's good and what's not. And they do, like I said, some great stuff, but like I said, they did a top 10 list of war movies and excluded sci-fi and fantasy. So, like I said, I'm throwing down my 115 hours, if I can get those back, would be doing research into sci-fi and fantasy movies, which I've already probably done in my life.
Those are the best war movies. Exactly.
Well, there's some good ones, and yeah. But we are challenging you guys. So like I said, definitely check them out and look forward to a challenge has been thrown down. So we'll see how they respond to us challenging them. So Ellie, you want to tell them they've been challenged as well? So it's coming from both of us.
Yeah. They've been challenged. I'm not very good at the epic voice.
Oh, well.
I'm sorry.
That was Ellie's epic voice.
That's right.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to wrap up today. Like I said, this episode is a little different just because, well, we just wanted to still have some news, and Star Wars had a lot of stuff coming out of it. And, well, what's the best ways for people to find us? I mean, if they want to listen to us more.
Well, SoundCloud.
Zeng This. You can also find us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. We greatly appreciate that feedback. And Ellie and me will read them, of course, on our own. But then we'll also read them on the podcast.
Yeah.
If it's a 5-star review, we will read it on the podcast. You can also find us on Facebook.
Yep. Zeng This.
You can find us on Twitter.
Tweet at us.
Yeah, you can tweet your favorite stuff from Legends or the Expanded Universe.
Please.
Yeah, you can tweet that stuff at us like Bizarro Russ did. Which, like I said, great pull, Russ. Great pull with that. You can also find us on Instagram.
At Zeng This Podcast.
You can find us playing some games every now and then on Twitch TV.
/Zeng This.
And as I said earlier with the Patreon, you can help support us by going to patreon.com/ZengThis. And if you want to email us directly, it's, of course,
ZengThis@gmail.com.
All right. Thanks again, guys, for tuning into this episode. Bodyguard.